The next story I wanted to talk about is about a guy named Glenn Beck. Now, you guys probably know who this is, but in case you don't, let me catch you up. He is a far-right, extreme religious wingnut. He is a Mormon, I believe, and he runs the TV network The Blaze. In fact, his TV network recently hosted Dave Rubin. I think Dave Rubin is heavily involved in The Blaze, or at least was recently. So I guess they're kind of friends with each other. I don't know. But I wanted to give you a little bit of background on Glenn Beck because he's a complex character. The dude started out absolutely hating Trump. Check out this clip from January 25th, 2016. This is before he kind of went all in with this. This is what he had to say about Donald Trump. 2016.
Donald Trump, I really truly believe, is a very dangerous man. If you listen to Chris, some of the things he said this weekend, I could go on at Fifth Avenue and I could shoot people and I wouldn't lose a single vote. He's joked about killing reporters like Putin. The mood of the country is very angry, but you never make a good decision when you're angry. The worst thing we can do is to now start looking at, well, who's going to get revenge? One of the things that Donald Trump does, and look, you want to take a shot at me. I mean, look at me, Chris. You can take, there's lots of jokes to be made. So it doesn't bother me.
Self-deprecating humor is actually very telling. It kind of gives us some insight into your own mindset and how you feel about yourself. I would recommend never using self-deprecating humor because it is really very revealing. Don't use deprecating humor in general for the most part, in my opinion. I mean, I don't give a shit what you do, but I try not to use deprecating humor where I'm making fun of myself or somebody else because it kind of gives us insight into what you really feel. Not always, but generally speaking, in my opinion, it's pretty revealing. That's kind of sad when you think about it.
Look, you want to take a shot at me. I mean, look at me, Chris. You can take, there's lots of jokes to be made. So it doesn't bother.
Yeah, look at Chris Cuomo cringing over here. He realizes that self-deprecating humor is kind of a lens into his inner psyche also. But to address what Glenn Beck is saying here, I couldn't possibly agree with him more.
Donald Trump, I really truly believe, is a very dangerous man.
Well said, dude. And he gave us solid, logical reasons for all of this stuff. The fact that, yeah, maybe the mood in the country is angry, but you don't make decisions when you're angry. It's a bad idea, so on and so forth. Sure, I can get on board with all that shit that he had to say about it. The bizarre thing about all of this is that he doesn't really stand by these statements anymore. We'll get into it a little bit more in a second. Just keep listening.
When you have a guy who is angry and then has an enemies list and starts just to take people down over and over and over again, if you disagree with him, he destroys you. If that's the mood of the country, then we're in more trouble than I thought.
Absolutely. Could not have said it better myself. I completely agree with the guy. He has an enemies list that he tries to take down. Donald Trump is a scumbag. I don't like insulting people or whatever, and that isn't really an insult. You know, that's just kind of a description of his personality. I'm not trying to kind of skate around my own rules of never insulting people here. I'm just describing, like, you know, what Trump does, what he's like. He's like a sleazebag, right? He's like a used car salesman just trying to get one up on you, trying to take advantage of whoever is around. That's his personality, or what I can see of it. That's what he has always done since the day he really entered the public spotlight in a big way as president. Anyways, that was Glenn Beck in 2016. This is where it gets interesting. 2020, late October, he completely flipped. He changed his mind, did a 180. Give this clip a listen and see what he had to say. Again, this is late October 2020, right before Election Day. Remember, Election Day was November 3rd, 2020, so give this a listen.
For about 10 years, I never had a dream. I never went into REM sleep, and it was really bad for my body.
Yeah, that's super uncommon, extremely uncommon for that to be the case. And if you don't get enough sleep and get good sleep cycles, it can actually kill you if you're not careful, or if the right set of circumstances play out. It can kill you. I'm guessing he probably had sleep apnea because as far as I know, not being able to reach REM sleep can be the result of having sleep apnea. So I don't know. It's just speculation. Just don't take my word for it. I'm just guessing that that was probably the cause of his issues, but let's keep listening.
But I had a dream, and I don't think it was a dream because I hadn't had one in 10 years.
My brother actually dealt with this where he couldn't reach REM sleep for a while because of sleep apnea and things like that. And, you know, when people don't dream for a while and then they finally do dream again as a result of like not reaching REM sleep or whatever, it actually becomes so incredibly vivid. It is scary from what I'm told. There's an anti-smoking medicine called Chantix. It will give you disturbingly vivid dreams too. So vivid, in fact, that you can't tell the difference between what's a dream and what's reality at a certain point. I knew somebody who dealt with that when they were taking Chantix, and that's when they stopped taking the medicine. These all seem to be symptoms of a medical condition that he had. Let's keep listening.
It was so terrifying to me that I couldn't even tell my wife for about 6 months. Later, about a year later, I had the same vision when I was meeting with somebody like Kenneth Copeland.
Wait, it's a vision now? I thought it was just a really vivid dream as the result of a medical condition that you had. Is he saying that God gave him a vision?
Who that I really, really respect. And they called me out of the blue and said, "Can you come see me?" And I said, "Sure." And I went to see them. And they said, "Sometimes the Lord speaks to us in dreams." And that night before, I had had that dream a second time.
Okay, so is it a vision or is it a dream? A lot of psychics and pastors, televangelists and things, they'll do something called cold reading, especially faith healers. Faith healers like to do this cold reading thing. I'm sure you guys have probably heard of this, but it's this thing where you know what, let me just define it real quick. Cold reading is a set of techniques used by mentalists, psychics, fortune tellers, and mediums. Without prior knowledge, a practiced cold reader can quickly obtain a great deal of information by analyzing the person's body language, age, clothing or fashion, hairstyle, gender, sexual orientation, religion, ethnicity, level of education, manner of speech, place of origin, so on and so forth. Cold readings commonly employ high probability guesses, quickly picking up signals as to whether their guesses are in the right direction or not, then emphasizing and reinforcing chance connections and quickly moving on from missed guesses. Psychologists believe that this appears to work because of the Forer effect and due to confirmation biases within people. Another common tactic of like faith healers or psychics or whatever with cold reading is they'll be standing in front of a crowd and they'll say, "God's giving me the letter J, and I see death around the letter J. Does anybody in the audience have somebody who's died recently whose name starts with the letter J? A friend, a relative?" And, you know, out of a crowd of, say, 400 people, of course there's going to be somebody in the room who knows somebody whose name started with J who died in the past 10 years, you know? It's a super straightforward, common, easy trick to see straight through. So what Glenn Beck is describing here, it honestly wouldn't surprise me at all to learn that it was pure coincidence and nothing more. It's hard to believe that it's anything other than coincidence. If this pastor had written this down and been extremely specific about their prediction or prophecy or whatever else, and handed the note to Glenn Beck, and before he opened the note, he described it to him, and then opened the note, and it was perfectly in line with what had been written down, that'd be a different situation. But it's never like that. It's always easily explained coincidences. But you know what the old QAnon people always say, right? There are no coincidences. Let's keep listening to Glenn Beck.
Sometimes the Lord speaks to us in dreams. And that night before, I had had that dream a second time. And I'd only told my wife. And I said, "Uh-huh." And he said, "And you know exactly what I'm talking about."
cryptic. That could have been literally anything. He didn't even need to have had a dream for that to really mean something to Glenn Beck.
I said, and he said, don't dismiss that. And I said, okay. He said, promise me, do not dismiss that. And I said, I won't.
That really honestly sounds like some stupid cold reading trick that they were doing. He didn't say it was Kenneth Copeland. He said it was somebody who he really respects, like Kenneth Copeland. It may not have even been a televangelist. Could have been some other Christian nutter butter, or honestly could have been a psychic or something. I mean, Glenn Beck is Mormon, so I'm guessing he doesn't really make a habit of going to psychics. But Christian evangelists, televangelists and stuff, they tend to kind of use the same tricks of the trade as psychics do.
Dismiss that. And I said, I won't. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. And I went home. It wasn't until this spring, I had almost dismissed it, but I had made a promise not to, because it didn't fit anymore until this spring, and all of a sudden it took on completely new meaning. I just warn you that we are in a spiritual battle against evil unleashed. We are not fighting the Democrats. We are fighting Satan himself.
That's actually really concerning. The fact that he has now labeled his political enemies as pretty much Satan is concerning. When you dehumanize your enemy and make them out to be the most evil thing imaginable, the most evil being in existence, you become willing to do literally anything to hurt them, to destroy them. Let's watch the next clip. This one came out November 4th, 2020. It was the day after the election took place. We didn't know if Trump won. We didn't know if Biden won either. At this point in time in the election, Trump had declared victory. Biden hadn't declared victory, and Trump had no reason to declare victory. So let's give this a listen. This was election coverage from Glenn Beck. Check it out.
If you truly believe that this was stolen, which I'm not saying it is at this point, but if you really truly believe in the end that it was stolen and they are going to steal it and destroy our Constitution and fundamentally transform us into something that we are not, I keep hearing the words of the Declaration. It is the right, it is their duty to overthrow that government and the chains and reinstitute something that protects those rights.
That's fucking concerning. That's scary fucking rhetoric. He is literally, at this point, saying he wants Trump supporters to overthrow the government and reinstall Trump as a dictator. At this point, Trump had already come out on stage, like the night before. In his victory speech, he basically said, yeah, this was faked, this is fraud, it's all, they stuffed the ballot boxes, blah, 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 all that shit that he's been saying. He laid out the narrative ahead of time. He laid out the narrative the night of the election. And here is Glenn Beck reinforcing that narrative, backing it up and saying Trump was right. As we saw later, this actually came to fruition. Donald Trump set up a situation in which the January 6th events could play out. Of course, the literal coup failed in that one case, and hopefully we won't see any more of those coup attempts in the future. But this is what Glenn Beck wanted, January 6th. That's exactly what he wanted, seemingly, based on what we're listening to here, right? This next clip I wanted to watch is from early November 2021, and then we've got another one from early March 2021. So this one is the newer one. Let's give this one a watch and see what Glenn Beck had to say.
I want to tell you what I feel prompted to tell you. In fact, urgently prompted to tell you. There is going to come a time when our founding documents, and when I say that, I mean the Federalist Papers and everything, that they are not going to be able to be found.
What? As if the internet doesn't exist? These things are spread far and wide. I mean, they are all over the fucking place. Like, you can find copies of this stuff in all kinds of different countries. What is he even talking about? He believes the founding documents won't be able to be found? Like the Declaration of Independence, we won't be able to find it? Like the cabal or the deep state is going to erase it from the internet or something? Okay, let's keep watching.
And you must preserve them. Now, this is something that I knew in 2008, and that's why we had Mercury 1. We've done a really good job in preserving as much as we can. However, I don't think that's good enough anymore. You must have a copy of the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers. You need to have some of the founding documents on how it works.
Okay, the only way that this advice could possibly be useful if there was complete societal collapse, as in the internet doesn't exist in the United States anymore. That's basically the only way that this could legitimately be a problem, if the internet doesn't exist. I'm just having a hard time wrapping my head around, like, their doomsday mindset. I guess it makes it a little bit easier that I grew up a Jehovah's Witness around doomsday cultists, but it's strange to view it from a political perspective, because politics weren't really part of my life when I was a Jehovah's Witness. I wasn't allowed to be involved in politics. But here they are explaining how we're going to start a new government because the current government and apparently society are going to completely collapse and there won't be any internet, I guess, or won't be access to it or whatever. It's just fucking odd. Anyways, let's watch this next clip from Glenn Beck. This one came out early March 2021. Check it out.
They are banning Dr. Seuss books.
They. Remember those weasel words? Who's they? Who is banning Dr. Seuss books? I can tell you, actually, who's banning Dr. Seuss books. I remember this coming out when all of this was a huge debacle. Nobody is banning Dr. Seuss books. Nobody ever tried to ban Dr. Seuss books. You know what happened, actually, in reality? The company that owns the Dr. Seuss name or whatever, Dr. Seuss, decided to discontinue a few of their older books from like the 30s to the 60s or something like that. I think it was maybe 9 different books. They decided to just stop printing those because, you know, they got newer stuff and some of the things in the older copies were, you know, kind of racist. So shit, it's just a normal company making normal company decisions for themselves. That's it. That's what it was. It wasn't anybody banning Dr. Seuss books. The left was not canceling Dr. Seuss. This is another culture war fabrication, is what this was. Let's keep listening.
How much more do you need to see before all of America wakes up and goes, this is fascism?
It's fascism for a private company to make a decision for themselves without outside influence? How is that fascism? Please explain it to me. I would love to know.
This is fascism. You don't destroy books.
Nobody destroyed the books, my God. They just decided to stop printing those. Nobody told you to burn them. Nobody's going around with matches and lighter like it's Fahrenheit 451 or some shit. They just discontinued printing them. We've done that for tens of thousands, dare I say millions of books in human history, and he hasn't sat here and bitched about every one of those. Why does he suddenly care about the ones that contain racist stuff that were discontinued intentionally by the company without outside influence? It's all about the culture war. That's it.
What is wrong with us, America? Go out and buy those books today. Find out if you can get them. Buy Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head.
That's another callback to another little culture war thing that was going on around that time. Potato Head, the company, decided to rename the company from Mr. Potato Head to Potato Head. Simple as that. They were still going to have all of the parts for Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. They weren't removing the gender of the potato heads. They were removing Mr. from the name of the company. That's it. But none of these nuances mattered to these people. They didn't give a shit. All they care about is fighting the culture war.
Because it's the end of an era. It is the end of freedom in America.
All they care about is fighting the culture war. And sadly, this culture war that they seem to be waging, it seems to be working. So what's the ultimate point of this clip? The point is that Glenn Beck did a 180 on Donald Trump. Started out fucking hating the guy.
Donald Trump, I really truly believe, is a very dangerous man.
And then went all the way to justifying domestic terrorism to keep him in the presidency.
It is their duty to overthrow those that government and the chains and reinstitute something that protects those rights.
And we moved right on cleanly to him completely losing his shit over some stupid culture war thing that he didn't understand in the first place. The guy is actually extremely toxic in a lot of ways, and I want to do a deeper dive into who he is later down the line. But I was hoping this would give you a little bit of context for where his head is at.